Hello, my name is Melanie Green, and I am the host of the Freelance Writing Podcast. I had this idea in April 2020 that I really wanted to create a space to discuss freelance writing, not how to get started in freelance writing, but really the nitty gritty when it comes to how to be a freelancer. I got busy and I wasn't able to start the podcast like I was hoping to in 2020. And then 2023, everything changed. Freelance writing is continuing to change at an unprecedented rate. And I really wanted to have a place to discuss that and to discuss the best practices with freelance writing. And you'll notice that's what we have here. In this episode, we're going to talk about one off assignments versus bulk or ongoing assignments from clients. So I will tell you, a lot of times clients will say, especially on platforms like Upwork that are milestone driven, do you want to do a bulk amount of assignments, so a batch of assignments, maybe 20 blogs, or do you want to do one at a time? And a lot of times, smaller clients will say to me, oh, I'd really prefer to do them one at a time. And so it's interesting because from a client side, I think it makes a lot of sense, right? They want to have more control of the process, perhaps. They want to control their spending, they want to be involved, and they don't really see the long-term impacts of what that decision means. As a freelance writer, it means something completely different. So typically, assignments that are given one at a time, these are going to be my smallest clients that I get the least amount of work from. It gets really bogged down by the approval process, the process of creating milestones, the process of turning it in, getting them to approve it. What happens is, say they want to do one blog a week, it doesn't ever end up being that way. Maybe it'll end up being 2 blogs a month, which of course is a very small client from my perspective. And from their perspective, I'm sure they're not going to get the responsiveness, right? Because they're not getting blogs quite as quickly as they would if they just have a group of assignments. So it always tends to be really slow. We don't work as much together, and it's really, again, bogged down by the process. Most of my clients end up sending me work in batches, and that's by design. I intentionally work with clients that do that, whether they're publications, they're law firms with tons of pages they need written, they're marketing agencies, website development agencies, SEO agencies. They'll send me a list of 20 or 30 assignments and say, here you go. Can you turn them all in 3 weeks? And those are the best projects for me personally because it really gives me an idea of how much work that I have, but it's also really positive for a lot of other reasons. Projects that come in batches really show me that the company or the client is really committed to working together. We're going to do a lot of work together. I'm going to be a really trusted partner for you. It also shows, obviously, that there's trust because you think I'm going to meet the deadline and you know that I am going to deliver high quality content that you're not going to need to micromanage. Because there's not like an approval process for each individual article as a milestone, we're able to do a tremendous amount of work in a small amount of time. I will tell you that the clients that want to do one project at a time, one little teeny project at a time, tend to be a lot more hands-on, and they have a lot of feedback that they want to integrate. With the clients that hand these batches, I very rarely get any revision requests at all. Sometimes clients will come and they'll say, going forward, can you use this word instead of this word, or something really minor like that. But it's something that it would take them so much longer to write an email to describe that feedback for me to change it, for them to just do it themselves. And so if they have any feedback at all, that's really the most that I get from that type of client. I will also say that there's something interesting that happens with the clients that send over kind of larger batches is that they become really a priority in my day. I'm going to build my work week really around meeting their deadlines, meeting their projects, because they are a significant portion of my income and they're predictable. And so a lot of those clients come month after month with a list of requirements that they have for projects. So that autonomy is really important to me, and I certainly hope that those clients understand how important they are to me, and that I definitely value our working relationship together. Too often, a one-off project will have a fire, let's say, not an actual fire, of course, but an urgent situation. And it can really take your attention away from the majority of your work. And so it is important to really remember that really your time should be allocated to the people that are working with you. So those bulk clients that are sending you, $1,000 or more a month of work are much more valuable than a client that sends $100 every 3 months, right? And so it's important to sometimes remember that. Recently, I found myself in a situation where I forgot that principle. It was a small, very small one-person salon, and the woman was super nice. She was an older woman, and I loved working with her, and I loved helping her. And I'm fairly value-oriented. The invoicing process itself isn't my favorite. I'm not really money-focused. I'm really focused on writing and helping businesses grow. And I knew that she needed my help. I saw the state of her website. I saw the performance she was getting from the effort she was doing, and I just really wanted to help her. And so we worked together, I would say, over 6 months, but we really only had 4 or 5 projects over 6 or 7 months. And so some months it would be, a $50 project. Sometimes it would be a little bit more, but it was always fairly small. And she wanted to have weekly calls. She wanted to talk a lot, have a lot of hand holding. And I was providing that because I honestly, genuinely just really liked working with her. The funny thing happened, though, is she decided she wanted to save a little money. Now, I will say I am actually below average in terms of charging. And there's reasons for that. We can go in a different episode. But some clients, I'm outside of their budget. And so we had been working together, and she had said, I really want you to be my provider of blog posts and social media posts and website pages and, redoing the SEO on her site. And I was like, okay. In the meantime, she hired someone from Pakistan who was charging a couple dollars instead. And she started trying to get me to revise for free the work that he wrote, which was terrible, absolutely terrible. And she was getting confused about which person wrote which. I finally had to end it with her. And the reason that I did was it was taking up so much time. A lot of what she was asking wasn't even work she was paying me for. And it really was starting to take away from the time and the focus that I can have on those other more important clients that do send over large batches of work for me on a regular basis. And so I think sometimes I'm cautious about those one-off relationships, or maybe I should be more cautious, because I think that happens more often than not. And throughout my career, there's been a lot of opportunities where I have seen that. Ultimately, just like anyone else, freelance writers want to be valued. And I do think that having those types of partnerships where there's a lot of trust and there's a lot of work that is going back and forth and it's highly valued, it's just something that's very important to prioritize and to cherish. Thanks for spending some time with me discussing freelance writing. If you'd like to connect with me further, please feel free to reach me at my website at www.melaniegreen.info.